Sims Walker, knocked down.
Oh my God! Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again.
Jackson takes it himself. Look at him dart back and forth. Oh! He broke his ankles.
I have never seen this before in my life.
Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught!
Denver! Unbelievable!
And welcome to the fourth down fiasco.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fourth Down Fiasco, your go-to podcast for all things football, brought to you by BetStamp. BetStamp is the sports bookie of all sports bookies. Literally, you can find anyone there. Caesars, Bet365, BetMGM, FanDuel, all the big names. You can check them out at signupexpert.com/fiasco. Place a $10 bet. You might be surprised what happens because, we made some predictions for the set of playoffs, and I don't know about y'all, but your boy figured out some shit right. So let's go ahead and dive into the show. I got my co-hosts, the rising stars of the podcast industry with me. I've got the known, knowledgeable, I don't know what else starts with an N that I can say appropriately on this show, especially because you're white, Daniel Weber with me, as well as the Mr. Cool, Calm, Collect, and a little on the dark side, Tanner Vinsky. Say hello to the people for me, y'all.
Known and knowledgeable both start with a K.
But they make an N sound. It's fine. Oh man, it's fourth down, goal to go, and we already fumbled the ball. So let's go ahead and get into this shit.
We're basically Texas right now.
Man, first week of NFL playoffs, a lot of blowouts. Where do y'all want to start? Should we just go from when the schedule started?
Yeah, let's talk about Texans Chargers.
Let's talk about Texans Chargers. Because only one person on this show got that game right.
Tanner called it. He said Justin Herbert disappears in the playoffs.
Yeah, I never said Herbert,
that. No, that was me.
I never said that.
That was me.
Jordan said Justin Herbert disappears in the playoffs, and he did just that.
Give me my flowers, bitch.
He threw more picks in one game than he did the rest of 18 weeks.
That's crazy.
Absurd.
Look, to be fair, I hyped up Herbert before the game. The dirty bubble was involved. Stole Jim Harbaugh. Nothing you can do about it. Can't predict nefarious actions. To be fair,
the league's rigged. The dirty bubble. Bring.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. The dirty bubble is the reason why Justin Herbert threw 4 interceptions, 3 of which were very clearly his fault. I will never fault a guy for throwing at a receiver and it bouncing off of his hands and into another guy's arms. But that only happened once. There's still 3 other interceptions that were
I will give him some leeway with the 4th one because the team was getting their ass beat so hard. I mean, you just have to throw it down the field. You got to do it. I mean, you're already losing at that point. I mean, they were losing 20-6 or like 24-6 or something like that. Mm-hmm. They were in a deficit. They had to make something work. You just throw it down the field and hope. However, with that, I mean, still throwing 2 picks in this game. The second one was egregious. I mean, he had Ladd McConkey in the flat, just put too much touch on the ball, threw it right over his head for a pick 6.
Yep.
It's a brutal game, and it sucks because I think a lot of the discourse coming out of this game is like, well, look at these 2 playoff games. Justin Herbert isn't one of the elite QBs. I mean, he's not playing. He doesn't perform well in the playoffs. And all the people that are like massive Justin Herbert haters are coming out in droves and talking about how this shows that Justin Herbert isn't that good. When you look at it, though, you look at the sample of work throughout his entire career, though, and it's, you can take 2 games or you can take 5 seasons of work that he has shown that he has played well. And you also
regular season merchant.
When you're only there for a 2-game sample size, though, it feels early to say, right? Whereas when you look at other QBs who have had the same problem, they have a harder sample size. And that's not to defend Justin Herbert and not to say that this wasn't on him, because you throw 4 picks, you have to take some blame, right? Like it is bad. It is a bad Chargers performance. Yeah. I do think he's not the main reason they lost, though. The main reason they lost is they couldn't run the ball at all against the Houston defense. Mm-hmm. I mean, the offense as a whole was horrible. I mean, 9 carries for 26 yards for J.K. Dobbins. I mean, the only person who can hold their head up high on offense is Ladd McConkey.
197.
Yeah, the receivers were horrible. And I think that shows what the Chargers really need more than anything is they need to get a freaking receiver outside of Ladd McConkey. I
agree. But the Houston defense, they were really, really, really good last year. They were top 5 defense last year in their head coach's rookie season. This year they kind of fell off a little bit. I know they're a little hurt, but whatever they did in the playoffs on Saturday, holy cow, did it look like last year. They were all over the place.
And I think a lot of that is the Chargers, when you look at their team, they're easy to play defense against because they're if you stop the run and you put double coverage on McConkey and you don't let him run all over you, what else can the Chargers do?
Hey, you don't trust Tucker Fisk?
Yeah, right.
Or DJ Chark or Will Dissly? Come on.
Well, look, this is how I see it, and this is as someone who has experienced years upon years of playoff pain and people talking shit about my quarterback, who has never had a performance that bad, statistically speaking.
It's hard to have that bad of a performance in the playoffs.
Statistically speaking, that at the end of the day, yes, the sample size is only 2 games, but both games have been choke jobs. So until Justin Herbert can do literally anything that involves not throwing 4 interceptions in a playoff game, he's not a top 10 quarterback to me. And, I think that a bigger issue, even more than the receivers, is that offensive line was getting their ass whooped all game. And I think that that's kind of been off and on. They're very, there have been some games where, the offensive line's able to actually produce for their quarterback and for J.K. Dobbins and everything else. And then there are some games where they just fall off the face of a cliff. So the inconsistency in that offensive line was put on full display on Saturday. But yeah, Tanner was talking about give him some slack. No, don't give him no slack. I've heard for years from Dak haters and everybody else that winning is a quarterback stat. And if you don't do shit in the playoffs, then you ain't shit as a quarterback. So I'm sorry.
To my credit, I have always defended Dak. I have never thought Dak Prescott was the problem.
I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about general.
And so I am not going to backtrack on my thing. So with Justin Herbert, I am the same boat. I think the Chargers team is in a much they were supposed to be rebuilding this year. They had a brand new coach in Jim Harbaugh. It's impressive that they got here anyways. I think Justin Herbert has shown that he is one of the most talented QBs in the league. And I think if he had another, I think if he goes to another playoff game, I think it's not going to look anything remotely close to this. And it's the same way I feel about Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott could win a Super Bowl. It's just with how Dallas has played, it's not going to happen. And this isn't even the quarterback who was the only one who had a really ugly game this week. Oh, yeah. Jordan Love also had a terrible game.
Yeah, he did.
I'm not giving up on Jordan Love either. I think Jordan Love is still a franchise guy. I just think when you're outclassed by your opponent, that's what's going to happen. And
injuries. We'll talk about the Packers a little bit, but they were a little injury prone on the Jordan Love side. But I wish we could see the Chargers with another wide receiver, like a solid wide receiver too. But another team we'll talk about in a minute, the Broncos. The Broncos and Chargers, both from the AFC West, overperformed what they were projected to do this year.
Right.
Neither of them should have been in the playoffs. They took 2 spots away from 2 possible other playoff teams.
Well, hey, but I think that's the right word, though. They took it.
I'm not saying they took it. They played their asses off. They played football, and we all picked the Broncos to win, what, 5, 6, 7 games?
Yeah. I mean, most people did.
Yeah. Like their over-under was 4.5 on most betting sites at betstamp.com.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Chargers were going to win 6 games, so the fact they won 11 is very impressive. And I think to look at it in a more positive tone instead of all just from the Chargers because they lost, this was an extremely impressive win by the Texans. I mean, we didn't all pick. Jordan got it right. But you and I both thought the Chargers were going to win, and I didn't even think anything about it. I was just like, Jim Harbaugh has been to a Super Bowl. He's a great coach. I trust Justin Herbert as a QB. I trust this Chargers defense. I think they have a solid running game. Texans have been spotty this whole year.
Yeah, the Texans were not playing well.
Yeah, exactly. It felt like the Texans kind of limped into the playoffs, so I didn't really see them as a threat. But, I mean, they did phenomenally in this game. They locked down that running game as well as possible. C.J. Stroud had a great game. Nico Collins balled out. Joe Mixon ran all over that Chargers defense. It was a phenomenal team effort. And, unfortunately, the Texans are going to run into a little bit of a scary opponent next week, so I don't think they're going to make it much further.
To hit a brick wall.
It was pretty close when they were playing spotty a couple weeks ago. If they play like they played yet on Saturday, it'd be a lot better game.
That's true.
They played in Kansas City with a team.
And you better believe we're all going to hate watch the shit out of that game.
No, I mean, the Texans could win the game. It's just it's an unfortunate matchup. But at this point, as a Texans fan, you should be happy. This is further than you should have made it this year with how poorly the season has gone. So, I mean, shout out to
injuries and other things.
It's crazy. They had such high hopes in the beginning of the year just because of last year, and it just tanked. And now it's like, oh, yeah, you're in the divisional round, by the way. It's like, how? But, hey. Good job, Houston. Luckily,
Football
you're in the AFC
South. Going on to Denver, Buffalo, unless did y'all have any final comments about Houston Chargers? No? Okay.
No.
I was so encouraged in the first half of this game. I'm glad I almost texted y'all.
Date or no?
What was that?
Are we going by time it was played or no?
Wasn't that the next game?
Steelers, Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. We already started.
Oh, you're so right. Sorry. Yahoo has it. I'm looking at it as rows and not columns.
No, yeah, I'm looking at the same thing.
Okay.
So, yeah. We already started with Bills Broncos. So let's just talk about Bills Broncos and we'll hit up Pittsburgh after this.
But yeah, I was so excited at halftime of this game, because it was 10-7 or whatever it was. Yeah. And I was about to text y'all and be like, man, if Bo pulls it off, and then the Broncos little bit of offense that they did have going just fell off a cliff in the second half. I think that how many yards total did they get? It was something ridiculous, like ridiculously low. It was like 40 yards of like total offense for the entire second half or something like that.
It was pretty bad.
So
they only had 224 total yards. The Bills set a record for biggest yardage differential in the NFL for a playoff game.
But, I will say this, that I think that even with how lopsided this score looks, Denver fans should be encouraged. And I think that, we were just talking about getting Herbo a wide receiver 1, and I was talking shit about that. But if you get Bo Nix a wide receiver 1, I think that'll make a world of difference, just because, Cortland Sutton's all right. And then it's falls right off a cliff there. I have no faith in Marvin Mims. Never really have. Don't even recognize names like Franklin. What was that?
You're not a Devon Vele guy?
No, absolutely not. So, I think that between that and then also I think Javonte Williams is a nice back, but he's one of those backs that you need a second back to put with for him to be most effective.
I hate the way Sean Payton uses their running back room. As soon as one quarterback or one running back gets hot, they're like, let's bench him. Put in this guy. Then he gets hot and they bench him. It's like, what are you doing? Let the hot hand run.
Yeah, I think that Denver's defense, even though they gave up 31 points in this game, I mean, it was an avalanche effect of their offense just kept going 3 and out, and then you get gassed on defense.
Yeah, what was the time of possession? Like 47 minutes or something?
Yeah.
42 minutes for Buffalo. When your defense is on the field for 42 minutes, they're not.
What are you supposed to do?
It's literally impossible.
So Denver definitely has a good enough defense to be good moving forward. I'm not worried about their defense.
No, yeah.
This upcoming draft for Denver, it needs to be all offensive talent. You need better linemen. You need a better wide out one. You need another running back. Honestly, if they went and got Genty, shit would be wild.
He's not going to fall that far, but if he did, that'd be crazy. But one good thing, Jordan brought this back up to me, our Broncos correspondent. What is it? They're paying Russell Wilson $96 million this year or something like that, and it's going to drop down to $42 next year. So they're getting a big cap
space. Yep.
You're getting like $50 million cap space back, and that could all go to one player, like one really, really good player, or spread the love and sign some solid starters.
Dude, yeah, I'm taking that money and I am immediately getting 2 offensive linemen with that cash. I'm not even going to go the rookie route. I'm going to get 2 established guys because I'll have more cap space than some of the other teams. Cowboys, you might as well poach them from somewhere else. Someone who's knows the system, has the weight on them, has the strength, has the game time knowledge, and get them on that offensive line. And then draft a bunch of just freak show athletes to put out there, because I know Tanner's a Bo hater, but I'm a Bo lever personally.
He's not a Bo hater. He's a more Drake May believer.
Which there's nothing wrong with, but I am a Bo lever.
That's what I look at with this game. And again, I can't talk that much shit about the Broncos because I thought these guys were going to win 4 games. I thought they were going to be ass. I thought this was going to be one of the worst rosters in the league. So the fact that they were here is awesome. I did like looking at the game. They were just it was a huge mismatch. I mean, ever since they've added the 7 seed has been a sacrificial lamb. They go out there, they're playing the 2 seed in the first round, and they're getting blown out every single time. Like, there's only one exception, and we don't have to bring it up.
Yeah, but thank you.
But it's brutal to be a Denver team that, you weren't that good. You're ahead of schedule and you run into the juggernaut. That's the Buffalo Bills, who are a borderline Super Bowl favorite. I mean, they're they're
contenders for sure.
One of the 3 to 4 best teams in the NFL right now.
When you're dropping 31 points on one of the best defenses, good luck to everybody else.
And I'm not going to be too harsh on Bo Nix because he is a rookie, right? This is a rookie going into his first ever playoff game. There's only so much you can expect out of him. And I think what you really do as Denver is you got to look at it and be like, we need offensive weapons. We need to give him an actual true number 1 wide receiver outside of Courtland Sutton, because Bo is panicking in the pocket and he's not playing well. I mean, he has one of the best pass protecting lines in the entire NFL, and he gets more time to pass than any other quarterback. And he's still not finding his guys. And I think a lot of that could be rookie rust. And, he might be able to shed that off in the next couple of years. But what's really going to help with not finding your guys? If you have a guy who's just open, who's not blanketed, who's not struggling to break off reads, who's not having trouble running the routes. If you just have a guy who's consistently open, if Bo Nix can just have that one guy and then have a couple of guys outside of that, he could have much better performances in the future.
Agreed.
But you should be encouraged that you have one of the best pass protecting lines. That's great for a young quarterback. You have a great defense. You're moving in the right trajectory. I just worry about the Broncos' future because they, to me, feel like they're about to be in a very similar situation to the Pittsburgh Steelers, where you have a lot of these things set into place around your team. You have great special teams. You have great defense. And your offense makes you want to throw up a little bit. And I'm worried that they're going to follow that line and you're going to get baited for years that you can win, but you can't win without a proper offense in the modern NFL.
Yeah, they'll make it to the playoffs because their offense will be good enough to beat their lower teams they're playing, and then you'll get let down. I want to bring another thing up about the defense, though. The Broncos' defense ranked 3rd in rushing yards, only giving up 96 yards a game.
Dude, James Cook.
Props to the Bills' game plan or whatever of force-feeding James Cook Total rushing yards for the Bills, 210. James Cook himself had 120.
Yeah, dude, James Cook was just 5, 6, 7 yards at a time every time he hit the ball.
Even Ty Johnson, he averaged 5 yards a carry.
Dude, and he was just running over folks. I think we should also, because I know that we're big-time Josh Allen haters on this pod, or at least I am. Dude, he had a hell of a game.
Yeah, props to Josh. Props to
20 of 26 for 272, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Played a very clean, efficient. It is also easier whenever your running game is going to be a cleaner and more efficient quarterback. But, I mean, he also had 46 yards on the ground as well, which included a pretty nasty little stiff arm at one point on, I don't know which linebacker it was, but that was a large man that he did that to. So
that 24-yard touchdown on 4th and 1 too. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, that was disgusting. So props to him. You got to give him his flowers. The dude has been playing his ass off all season. He, in my opinion, is the MVP of the NFL.
Agreed.
And I mean, I guess Lamar could be a close second, but besides those two, it's like there's a massive gap in my opinion. Even with as great as Saquon and those guys have been, I don't know, just the difference that like Josh was doing this with nobody. I know that now they have Amari Cooper, but he was 2 catches for 8 yards. So it wasn't even. Dude, Curtis Samuel was their leading wide receiver.
55-yard touchdown, baby.
Bro, that sounds like a really bad pick for a 2021 fantasy football league. A late round pick. So,
I have a question about your MVP thing, though. If Burrow was in the play, I have a question about your MVP. If Burrow was in the playoffs, would he be up there with Lamar and Josh?
Yeah, but
a lot of
winning matters.
What?
Yes, but winning matters.
That's true. I'm just saying, what if? But.
Any final thoughts on Denver Buffalo?
I'd be scared to play Buffalo.
Dog, they look mad. They look like a very complete football team. A very complete football team.
Yeah.
Another pretty complete looking football team, Baltimore, who beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 28-14 in a game that didn't really surprise us. I think we all picked Baltimore to win, even you, Tanner, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we just want to let Tanner have this one? He can.
Yeah, sure.
How he feels.
I mean, we could skip too. We can move on.
Hey, brother, I understand that pain. We could talk about them for like 2 minutes and then move on. How's that sound?
Well, I'll start with the Baltimore side because I'm going to talk very negatively about the Steelers for a little bit here. But in terms of Baltimore, I mean, Baltimore is, I think, just as scary as Buffalo. I think. Though I have thought it the entire season, you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson just run RPO. What are teams going to do to stop it? You either are going to get outran by Lamar Jackson or you're going to get bulldozed by Derrick Henry. Just run RPO every single play. Like, how do you stop that? And that's what they did. And, this staunch Steeler defense that has been extremely good this entire year crumbled because they were just spamming RPO. And it's fascinating to watch. I mean, it's fascinating to watch when your team isn't getting blown out, but it is such a insanely good offensive punch that it's going to be the difference maker going into Buffalo next week for Baltimore, because if Baltimore can run the RPO effectively, that Bills defense struggles against the run. And if Derrick Henry goes off like he did in their first matchup, I mean, Baltimore's a very scary team. And this is the year where it looks like it's going to start clicking and it's going to start going in their direction. Now, I will say on the Steelers side is that the Steelers have had a horrific playoff history since they got blown out in the AFC Championship to the Patriots in 2016. That was our best bet, was beating the Patriots in that game. Since then, the Steelers have consistently started every single playoff game slow. And that's not just like, they have a bad, first couple of possessions. They have been utterly outmatched in the first half of every single playoff game they've appeared in since 2017. In 2017 versus the Jaguars, the Steelers started off being down 28-7 by the second quarter. They then proceeded to lose the game 48-45. In 2020 against the Browns, the Steelers started off down 28-0 with 2 minutes to go in the first half, then proceeded to lose the game 48-37. In 2021 versus the Chiefs, they started off 21-7 in the first half, then proceeded to lose 42-21. 2023 versus the Bills, 21-7 in the first half again, then proceeded to lose 31-17. Then finally this year, 2024, we start off down 21-0 in the first half, then proceed to lose 28-14. Consistently losing by multiple touchdowns in the first half. It's unacceptable. You can't play that slowly in the playoffs. Yeah. The offense needs to actually have a lifeblood, and they need to move on. And they just looking at the Steelers' future, I mean, for this, I think there's only two ways to go. Either you say enough's enough, we're rebuilding, and you win 3 games. That's option one. And if Steelers fans actually want that, because a lot of Steelers fans and a lot of people are saying, fire Mike Tomlin. Okay, if you fire Mike Tomlin, that is the reality. We are winning less than 4 games next season. I am sorry. Like, that is
the
just
first time you guys come in 4th in our division.
Yeah, that is the reality. If we fire Mike Tomlin, that is what's going to happen. So if people actually want that and they say enough is enough, that we can't keep getting blown out in the first round of the playoffs, that is what needs to happen. You need to fire Mike Tomlin, and you need to win 3 games and tank for Arch Manning, right? That's a reality. The other option, which is the option I would prefer, because I don't want to give up on Mike Tomlin. I mean, Mike Tomlin has proven to me that he's a Hall of Fame head coach. I mean, he has taken freaking despicable offenses to playoff appearances and has done things that no other coach, I think, could ever do. Has a Super Bowl ring. I don't care if it's Cowher's team. If you say that, I just genuinely don't think that you like that the Steelers have a black coach. That's all I'm going to say.
Can we talk about Marvin Lewis and Mike Tomlin being in the same conversation for the playoffs?
I don't think it's close. I'm going to be honest.
The streak's 1 game away.
Yeah, but Tomlin won a Super Bowl already and has won in the playoffs with Big Ben as his quarterback. When he had competent quarterback play, he was winning playoff games. Since then, we have struck out the corpse of Big Ben. We have struck out Mason Rudolph. We have struck out who started against the Chiefs? I guess that was old Big Ben. So we've had old Big Ben in 2020 and 2021. We had Mason Rudolph in 2023. Then we had washed Russell Wilson this year. I'm sorry. Like, what team does win with that type of quarterback play, right? Not very many. So to me, I think if you want to fire Mike Tomlin, it's because you want to tank. I think there's no other argument for it, because I think Mike Tomlin, what he's done has been a testament and has been beyond what any other head coach could have done with his roster. I think if the Steelers do need to move on, though, there's a couple things that need to happen. And one of the things is a huge mistake that we made in the past. We kept Terrell Austin as our DC when we had the opportunity to bring Brian Flores as DC. You saw what Brian Flores did in Minnesota. If we would have kept Brian Flores in the building, this defense would be top-notch. Instead, they're, flirting with top-notch. But this offseason, Russell Wilson needs to go. Arthur Smith needs to go. And we need to actually make a move to make our offense better. What that means is we need to either try, honestly, I think you take the 5th-year option on Justin Fields. His 5th-year option is up. You pay him $20 million next year. I think that's great as just a bridge. Have Justin Fields be a bridge QB. If he proves it next year and proves he can be a franchise guy, awesome. Stick with him. If it doesn't, then what we need to do is we need to look at some of these other teams that aren't exactly competing, and we need to trade some picks to get a quarterback. And I'm not even kidding. I'm saying you look at Jacksonville and you say, hey, is Trevor Lawrence really that good? I'm not sure. We need to take a risk. Trade a couple first-round picks to Jacksonville, and let's get an actual QB in the building. You look at Seattle with Geno Smith. Seattle's in a similar position. Geno Smith, I think, has a much higher ceiling than any of the quarterbacks we've had in the building up to this point. I think you trade a 3rd round pick for Geno Smith. That's the type of move the Steelers need to do. And if they don't do that, they're continuing to just go 9-8, 10-7, and lose in the first round of the playoffs.
If you're going to have a bridge quarterback, why would you pay the bridge quarterback $20 million instead of $1 million?
Because Justin Fields has the capability to be something, right? If Justin Fields actually develops next year, then it's great. And we have the cap space for it. So why not use the cap space that you already have, you know?
Yeah.
I much prefer that than taking just like some honestly, I would much rather go into next year with Justin Fields on a $20 million contract than taking Aaron Rodgers on like a vet min. We have tried this. We have tried to have cheap quarterbacks, and it's just not working. And you need to switch it up. And we stuck with Russell Wilson too long this season. We should have switched back to Justin Fields. And I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be a franchise guy, but you have to at least give him the opportunity to show if he can or cannot.
Yeah. And I think that with Fields specifically, he's young enough that he can have value, that even if he's not going to be your franchise guy, if you can at least, through at least a season's worth of a sample size show, hey, dude, this guy, he has something there. You can also flip him for something. That's something that really pissed me off with Dallas was, we were trying so hard to still win games with Cooper Rush. And I'm like, dude, fuck that. Put in Trey Lance, even if it's atrocious, even if it's the worst football we've ever seen, at least try it, because if not, you just have a potential asset sitting on your bench that you can't trade. And I think that there's enough in Justin Fields' game that maybe y'all have the exact same fate and go 10-7 and still lose 28-14 in the playoffs. But if he has a statistically above average season, then sure, maybe now it's time to go hit the detonation button, trade him, get some picks. Maybe you can get a 2nd rounder for him or something like that and move on. I hate the amount of like Justin Fields and Trey Lances of this world that just rot on the bench for these teams. That is like, dude, just play them. Especially, I guess with the Steelers, you kind of had to play Russ, but like in Dallas's case, it's like, bro, there's no reason for us to put out Cooper Rush. Like, why
do they have to? They weren't paying him anything.
It was the precedent that was set of like, we brought in Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but you started the season 3-0.
No, I mean, I get it. I was one of the people that said that they shouldn't even start Russ because of the start that Pittsburgh had with Justin Fields. But you build some value on that guy at the very least. Maybe he's not your franchise guy, but at least see if you can flip him for like a 2nd or a 3rd round pick because he has a decent season. There's plenty of shit franchises out there that, would be willing to take a flyer out on. You could flip him at the Raiders and be just fine. You could go to the Raiders if Justin Fields has a statistically above average season. Be like, hey, do y'all want him? Dude, the Raiders are so poorly ran. They might give y'all a 1st.
Shit, they might. They give us a 3rd for Davis Bryant.
So, I'm with you, Tanner. But I mean, other than Baltimore looks terrifying, do we have any final thoughts? We talked a lot about Pittsburgh, but
Baltimore looks scary.
Baltimore
Buffalo is going to be a very good game.
Oh, dude, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be great.
Phenomenal game, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of racism in that game too, especially because the quarterback play is going to be incredible. I'm going to be there on Twitter, just enjoying all the yee-yees coming out of the woodwork for that game. Speaking of some yee-yees getting their ass whooped, Green Bay loses to Philly 10-22. I don't think any of us were really surprised about this game. I thought it'd be a little closer, but
there's not much to talk about. Barkley did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
It stinks for Jordan Love to lose his number 1 and 2 wide receiver in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
So,
like, what can you do at that point?
Yeah,
I think Green Bay
did what he could do.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay's situation is honestly the exact same in the Chargers, in my opinion. I just think you actually need a true bona fide number 1 receiver.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like the Chargers and Packers are in the exact same situation. You have your running back, you have your quarterback. get a good wide receiver and you'll be very good.
Yeah, sounds about right. But yeah,
it just stinks that they went, what did they go? 10 and what did they finish with? 11-6 and came in third in their division.
That's crazy.
It's like, that's not even talking about Minnesota, who went 14-3 and had to play an away home game. Or away playoff game.
I will say on Philly's side of this, I am a little concerned about Jalen Hurts. He did not have a very good game. I don't know. I've been on the fence of Philly. Philly's an extremely talented roster, probably the most talented roster left in the playoff field, to be honest. But there's just something when you don't have an elevator at QB. Can you beat the great QBs? And they're going to be playing.
It's hard. You have to go on a very specific run, a very Nick Foles run, for lack of a better example.
So yeah, I mean, it was cool seeing that despite, them having kind of an off day by the receivers, you still have Dallas Goedert stepping up and doing really well. Had that insane stiff arm play by him.
Yeah.
So that's encouraging for Philly. I don't know. I got a bad taste in my mouth between both Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. I just don't trust them a lot.
Yeah. Nah, I get you.
No. Jalen Hurts did something on Sunday that he has never done in his 5-year career.
Rush for more than 1 yard to get a touchdown?
No, take a snap under center, not in play action. Just a standard 3-step drop.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me about that earlier.
He's never done that in his career until Sunday.
Dude,
the only time he went under center was under play action or to hand the ball off. And his 3-step drop looked horrible. He did not plant off his back foot. Before he threw the ball, all his weight went forward off his front foot and threw like a duck out route to Dallas Goedert.
Well, yeah, because he's not a quarterback. He's a running back, playing quarterback. But that's all he is.
I don't know why they did it Sunday. Like, why is that the time to experiment? I mean, yeah, you're up, you're winning, but I don't know if that's the time to experiment in a playoff game with him doing a 3-step drop.
That a quarterback didn't have a 3-step drop this far into that's insane to me.
Yeah, like it's not like we're talking about a guy who this is his second year in the NFL or something like that. We're talking about a guy who's on his second contract right now.
Who went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, we don't need to talk anymore about Philly because I just want to launch them into the sun, and I'm glad that Green Bay got launched into the sun.
Eagles, Rams should be pretty good. That's all I got to say.
Fair enough. Washington barely ekes out a win over the Tampa Bay Bucks. We all got this one wrong, unfortunately.
We almost didn't if the field goal didn't boink in. What is that?
I hate to say it, but it's this game, and I hate to put this much onto it, but it really was just the discrepancy in quarterback play. The reason Commanders won is because Jaden Daniels went out there and he played a hell of a game. And Baker, had a relatively good game too, but he had that fumble that was the swing play. He had the one mistake, Jaden didn't, and that's why Washington walks out here with a win. Yeah. And I'm shocked. I mean, we all thought Washington was a good team. I think I just have too much Baker bias in my heart. I just have too much love for him. And I think that's what held this away. But I mean, shit. I think it's time for people to have conversations that Jaden Daniels currently is a top 10 QB in the league.
I think he solidified himself as Rookie of the Year.
Oh, 1,000%. I think he already had that locked.
I mean, the last two people in the Rookie of the Year conversation, one won their playoff game, one didn't.
One didn't, yeah. Yeah, which sucks, but you got to give him his flowers. I mean, 24-35, 268, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, had an additional 36 yards on the ground, which for 13 rushes, but those also, they do that weird thing where sometimes they do include sacks, sometimes they don't. So the fact that he didn't fumble at all, didn't throw any picks, all you can ever ask from a rookie quarterback is to have a clean game. You, especially whenever it is a rookie, you expect everybody else to step up, and Defense had a good game because we know that Tampa Bay can put up some points. They've got some ballers on that team. Held them at 20. It was just enough to be able to eke out a win. Terry McLaurin did his thing. 89 yards on 7 catches and a touchdown. Diami Brown also did, or is it Diami or Diami? Do y'all know? Diami.
Or Diami.
Brown also, he had a really good game, 89 yards off of 5 catches and a tud, including that long 30-yard touchdown catch that he had. So, yeah, I mean, everybody looked good. Austin Eckler had himself a nice receiving game at least. He made a couple people miss here and there, helped him get some first downs. This is the perfect kind of team performance that you want. And it's frustrating to see that Dan Quinn's got these boys doing what they need to do in order to win a game. It hurts my heart a little bit, but hey, shout out Dan Quinn. Them boys were ready.
And I wouldn't be too discouraged as a Bucs fan to be honest either. I mean, they're still a relatively young roster. That was the thing I meant to bring up with the Packers. Sorry. Packers are the youngest. We're the youngest playoff team. The second youngest playoff.
24.
Yeah, second youngest playoff team in history, only
behind
a little bit older than last year's playoff team. So you can't be discouraged about the Packers either. I don't think you can be discouraged about the Bucs losing this game. I think the Bucs are setting up a really great system here. Mm-hmm. I think they have so much skill position talent. They're not that far away, and I hope Baker can take another step, because if Baker can take another step, this team wins the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. And I think this Commanders team, I would not be shocked to see this Commander team win a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 5 years. Jaden Daniels, to me, I feel confident seeing Jaden Daniels take the field. He just gives me that confidence that he can perform and he can compete with the top dogs of the NFL.
We'll see how his sophomore slump is.
Yeah.
But I saw a Baker stat. He had 14 fumbles this year. He lost 2 of them the entire season. He had 1 fumble on Sunday and lost it.
Yeah, that's a shame. That is alarming though, to fumble the ball that much, I will say. It's like a Daniel Jones thing. It's Daniel Jones doesn't lose fumbles. It's I don't want a quarterback that fumbles that often.
Yeah, I don't want them fumbling. Period. I don't care if we're recovering them.
He had a very lucky year of balls bouncing back to him or his team.
Right.
Yeah. It just sucks that. It just sucks that though, in the biggest stage, the luck didn't continue. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the biggest stage, Minnesota's luck ran out.
You beat me to it, Danny. I love it. Good stuff. Yeah, Minnesota got their ass whooped.
Minnesota lost 4 games all year, right? They went on a 5-game win streak, lost to the Lions, lost to the Rams. Went on a 9-game win streak, lost to the Lions, lost to the Rams, season over. You lose to 2 teams, and you don't even make it out of the wild card round.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Sign Sam Darnold to a team that doesn't play the Rams or the Lions. He's going 17-0.
It was just hard to see. I was hoping that it'd at least be a little bit more of a competitive game, but
I wish we would have seen that fumble either called a fumble or at least an intentional grounding, because they need to fix that rule and rule fast if that is an incomplete pass. From what Matthew Stafford did.
I completely agree. I will say, though, I don't think it would have made a difference. I think the Vikings were
10-10 at the time, right?
I get it.
I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference, but momentum change, tie score.
Momentum is big, for sure.
It is big. My issue with it is I think we just kind of saw what Sam Darnold is,
Mm-hmm.
He crumbled under the pressure in the 2 biggest games. Last week for the 1 seed, this week he just, bailing out of clean pockets, making stupid mistakes, missing throws. So I think even if that call is called correctly, it's 10-10. I think Sam Darnold still finds a way to lose this game. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying he won, but
I know it's hard for me to look at. And it sucks because I feel really bad for Sam Darnold, because honestly, this game probably cost him $50 million, and I'm not even kidding.
No, definitely.
He lost a lot of money by playing this poorly in the last 2 weeks, and it's good for Minnesota. They know that they can just move on to J.J. McCarthy next year and everything's fine. They don't have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. But it sucks for Sam Darnold. I wanted to see him have, a huge contract, career resurgence, be able to do his thing. He just has too many bad tendencies that he still hasn't gotten over.
There will be a team who will offer him some money. It won't be the amount that he could have gotten if he could have won a singular playoff game, or at least was competitive in a playoff game.
These 2 games might have saved a franchise's future and a head coach and GM's job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If he won one of these 2 games, they're throwing a bag. And he comes into the new team and he plays like he did these last 2 games. That GM and head coach is gone.
They're gone.
Staff is gone. That team is in the dust.
I will say, though, I do want to give Darnold a smidgen of grace because he got sacked 9 times.
6 of them were his own fault.
4.
Yeah, we'll give half. We'll say 4.5 for his own fault. Yeah,
but dude, I mean, he was getting smacked every time he stepped back. So
free rush smacked. The sack's not his fault. They had free rushers at him.
Well, I think there's a lot of credit that should be given to Sam Darnold just for having this type of year, right? Phenomenal year by him. Maybe he didn't fully revive his career, but he made people believe again, and I think that's probably what he needed for his confidence.
It's a pretty good revival.
Yeah. I just wish it would have translated more. It sucks that because I hate to say it, I really do just look at this game and I put almost 75% of the blame for Minnesota losing this game on Sam Darnold. I think if they would have had competent QB play, I think this could have been a competitive game.
Yeah.
But I think regardless,
their defense kind of let up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Their O-line was pretty bad, but a lot of it was on Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
I think, though, that even though he won't get the big, sexy $50 million contract or anything like that, and he may not even necessarily be a starter, but you have seen, you have a massive sample size now that he can be an elite level backup quarterback, and that is hard to find in this league. It is hard to find someone in this league that, hey, my quarterback is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks because they have a grade 3 sprain in their knee and they're going to miss half the season. And to have somebody that you can put in and your season not completely fall to shit, that's invaluable in this league. So
absolutely,
he'll get a bag wherever he does go.
Yeah.
Hey, if he went to the ELF, man, he would win 12 rings.
Dog. He would
dominate the league. Yeah.
But this also shows Sam Darnold was drafted top, was he number 1 overall, or he was
number 3.
He was a top 5 pick. It shows you. Put a top 5 pick on a better team instead of the bottom 5 team where you just go to die as a quarterback, they might surprise you a little bit.
This is true.
No, I think a lot of Sam Darnold's issues are mental, genuinely.
Oh, 100%.
I think a lot of it is just his decision making, his, panic in the pocket, bailing out of clean pockets. I think if Sam Darnold can put that together, he's got the arm strength. He can make relatively good reads downfield. Mm-hmm. He's got a little bit of wheels on him. He can move.
And he's got size too, which helps.
He's got size. He's a big boy. He could be a franchise QB. It's just those mental gaps. They're holding him back. And
he needs to talk to Aaron Rodgers about his mental headspace.
No, he doesn't.
I don't think that's the person he needs to talk to.
Let's talk about the Rams.
Any final thoughts on those, and then I'll have to leave early, but y'all can finish up.
Yeah, we'll do pick'ems without you, but I don't
I can stick around for pick'ems, and then whenever y'all talk about the other stuff,
we could just end it at pick'ems. We're already a little in, anyways.
Okay.
But the Rams, I've been saying it all year. Their record does not show how good of a team they are. They're not a 10-7 team. They are most likely a 13-14 win team if they were healthy the entire season.
There's a reason we all picked them.
Yeah, they are a very scary team. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. Kupp didn't catch a pass until the second half. That's how good this offense is.
Yeah.
He didn't even get targeted till the second half. Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And he wasn't even mad about it. George Pickens.
Because he likes to win. He don't give a shit. He's all about winning.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, we can get through these pick'ems real quick.
Yeah, and then we can call it a day.
Cool. Well, first game on the slate, Houston at Kansas City.
My heart is wanting me to say Houston's so bad. Just because the hatred.
Until they lose and start losing consistently, I just cannot bet against them.
You can't bet against Kansas City right now.
Yeah. Maybe if it were like Kansas versus Buffalo, I could potentially, or Kansas Baltimore. I just don't think that Houston's quite in the same conversation.
No, not at all. But I saw a picture from the 2019 Super Bowl, like who's rooting for who, and the entire United States was like Kansas City, and then just like the Northeast was New England, or for the championship game, not the Super Bowl, sorry. But it was like just New England, then all of Kansas City. It's like how the tides have turned.
What is it that they say in Batman? You're a hero long enough to see yourself turn into the villain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly Kansas City.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted them to take down Tom Brady.
And then they decided that they wanted to replace him and be him and be the Patriots. Yeah.
They never stopped him. They just waited until he retired, man. That's bullshit.
But like Darnold says, why not? You can't bet against them.
So yeah. All three saying KC.
Yeah,
for sure.
Hopefully we're wrong.
Yeah, I would love to be wrong. That'd be dope to see CJ Stroud take down Pat Mahomes.
That'd be crazy.
I just don't see it happening.
Washington, Detroit.
I know that we ate our words with bashing Jaden Daniels, and he showed us wrong. We're going to be right this week. I think Detroit wins this by at least 10 points.
It's nothing against Jaden Daniels in Washington. Right. It's just for Detroit. They're one of the top tier teams.
Yeah, Washington is the best team in the NFC.
Washington, like the Chargers and the Broncos, they're ahead of their schedule. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. So, I think that I would never hope good things for a commie, but I guess in this situation, I will say, I think that Jaden Daniels will have, a relatively clean game. He might throw a pick or something. I think that he's going to try his best to be clean throughout the game.
It'll probably be a 45-35 game.
I think that Detroit's just got way too much firepower, and he's not going to be able to keep up.
David Montgomery's back too.
Yeah.
Oh, now that fantasy's over, he decides he wants to be back. Cool.
I think he cares about a Super Bowl more than your fantasy.
Thanks, Montgomery. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's okay to be mad. I also had Demont, and I was upset.
I don't care.
Demont's sick. Regardless, Detroit's phenomenal. They're one of the best teams in the league. They're gonna win. Hopefully, Washington makes it close. That's all we can really hope for that one.
Yeah.
I'm not even hoping for that.
We're all in unison so far.
Cool.
We're going to keep it this way. LA versus Philly.
Bro, give me LA, bro.
I like LA.
Dude, it is time to show how fraudulent the Eagles actually are. That LA defense finna be nose to nose with Jalen Hurts the whole game, bro.
If they play anything like they did last week, they're going to give them fits.
Well, it's the same thing we said when previewing the wild card. We said, who do I trust more, Sam Darnold or Matt Stafford? It's the same thing this week. Do I trust Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, or do I trust Sean McVay and Matt Stafford?
I
trust Sean McVay and Matt Stafford.
The guys with the rings.
Yep. And
Always
this one,
guys with the rings.
Last one. So we're all in unison. Are we going to stay in unison? Baltimore, Buffalo. Sunday night.
Buffalo, mind you.
This is the closest game by record because we have a 10-7, 15-2, 12-5, 15-2, 10-7, 14-3. Now we have 12-5 and 13-4.
I mean, this is the game of the year.
Oh, this is a Super Bowl.
Oh man,
I could see whoever comes out of this could win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree.
These are two of the top 3-4 teams.
4 teams, yeah.
It really just depends, I feel like with the way that Baltimore is set up to be able to run, if they're able to get ahead, it's just going to be so hard because they're going to milk so much clock.
And vice versa. You saw Buffalo do it.
True. Yeah.
If Buffalo gets up, they can just run the ball.
Yeah.
And
this is going to be a good game. This is going to be some good old-fashioned hard-nosed football. You got two good defenses. I think Baltimore's defense is a little bit better.
The Ravens rank 31st in passing yards a game for their defense.
Really?
They're giving up almost 250 yards a game. So Josh Allen might have a field day.
You know what? Because of that alone, give me the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's just been playing out of his mind all season.
Josh Allen's been out of his mind.
And, I think that it's time for Buffalo to, finally punch up for once. I know that this isn't really a punch up situation, but it always feels like they're just never able to land that punch that they need to. I think this is the time that they finally break out of it. And if we're talking solely just arm, not talking about what they can do with their feet, just arm, Josh Allen's a better talent arm-wise. And he's mobile enough that he can make up the difference in gap between, what they can do with their feet. Yeah, I think it might be Josh's time.
Tanner?
So both of you are going Buffalo?
I don't know yet. Let me know you know.
I'm going Buffalo.
Well, then, Danny, you're going to be the split. I'm gonna go with Baltimore here. And the main reason I'm going with Baltimore is these two have matched up this season. Buffalo's worst loss was to Baltimore earlier in the season. Sure. And the reason I think – yes, the Ravens have had a terrible pass defense this year, but the Bills have also had a terrible run defense this year. And for time of possession or for managing game, what's more important?
Running.
It's running the ball, right? If you have the time of possession, you're going to win this game. And I know that's like a very basic, easy thing to say, but I think in this matchup where these teams are so good, I think if they can run the ball down, Buffalo's throat, they can have more possessions, they get the ball last. I just don't see Buffalo's defense being able to stop the Baltimore rushing attack. And if they're not able to get a stop on Baltimore at all, if they can't force Lamar Jackson to win the game with his arm, they're going to lose. And it sucks because I think Kansas City can force Lamar Jackson to win with his arm. And I think that means Kansas City wants Baltimore to win this game really badly.
Yeah.
The Buffalo isn't going to be running the ball against Kansas City. They're going to be throwing it. But Baltimore, they don't want to throw it. But I think just with having the better potent rushing attack, I just see a hard time Buffalo being able to win this unless Josh Allen has a perfect game and Buffalo never punts and Josh doesn't throw any picks. If that happens, Buffalo's winning the Super Bowl. That's all I'm going to say. But if that doesn't happen, then I lean Baltimore.
If neither quarterback turns the ball over, they're probably going to win the game.
Yeah.
Need that I need that Buffalo Detroit Super Bowl. That shit's gonna be wild.
That'd feed families.
Yes, whichever city does end up getting to have that Lombardi under their name, I mean, that parade is going to be nuts. One of the cities might actually catch fire. Who knows? Actually, This is a really bad time to make that joke. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
At least you're not talking about the Rams.
True. Yeah, that could have been. Hey, shout out the Arizona Cardinals, though, for letting them use their stadium and, putting up Rams colors and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Good organization vibes. We appreciate that.
So I think it is very hard to beat the same team twice in a year. We see it in all the divisions. When two evenly matched teams play each other each year, you usually split. You go 1-1. It happens in the AFC North. It happens in the NFC West. It happens everywhere. I think the Ravens game in the beginning of the year was an outlier. The last couple weeks, minus the playoffs, I mean, they shut down the Bills' offensive running game anyways. But they held Jamar Gibbs to 31 yards, David Montgomery to 4. I think that was the week he got hurt. Anyways, they held Kyron Williams to 84 yards in their loss to the Rams. They held Christian McCaffrey to 85 yards and that's all after their bye week. I didn't look at the Jets in New England because I didn't care about their running backs. So their run defense has gotten better after the bye week. They are playing more cohesive defense between the pass and the run. But it's two of the top teams, and it goes back to Tanner's point. Whoever has a turnover is going to lose the game.
Oh yeah.
Like, both quarterbacks have to play perfect. And with that, I always go back to home field. Like, experience, same. Like, they have the same experience. We can go either rookie or veteran. We can't do that. They're both MVPs. And Baltimore's crowd at home is crazy, and Buffalo fans are psycho.
Yep.
And they're going to be so loud.
Yeah.
So it's a coin flip. You pick a team. That's what it is.
Surely this game's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
This is the closest game of the week for sure.
Yeah. This game is impossible to pick. Like when it was announced, it was -1 to Buffalo. Now it's -1 to the Baltimore. It's like by the time it starts, it's going to be even line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quit stalling, Danny. Who do you have?
What?
I say quit stalling. Who do you have? We want to know.
It goes like you ruined my train of thought now that you said that.
Sorry.
But if you can't make a deciding factor and you have to pick a team, you have to go with home field and their fans. So I'm going Buffalo. And if Josh Allen throws a rare pick, he only has like 4 picks this year. Like Buffalo's offense only has 8 turnovers all year, which is absurd. Like they don't turn the ball over. And so it's going to be hard for the Ravens defense, who's not a very turnover heavy defense this year, to get a turnover. They could get a stop, but then your offense is going to have to go 80 plus yards if they are punting the ball. The Bills have a good punter who can pin them deep. So it will be a fantastic game, but with all common denominators, you're going to have to choose the outlier, and that's whoever's at home.
Fair enough. Well, cool. Any final thoughts before we end the show?
Hopefully the Texans win.
Hey, CJ, I will name my firstborn child after you if you beat Patrick Mahomes.
We will hold you to that.
Y'all heard it here first, folks. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate your time. As always, make sure to give us a 5-star review on whatever you're listening to us on, whether it's Apple Pods, Spotify. It's the best way for us to grow the show. It's been Danny, Tanner, and Jordan saying so long, sayonara, and we will see you next week.
Go Clippers.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep doing them both because they make me feel good.